We just had a terrific XPRIZE Pandemic Alliance jam session, joint action meeting with two incredible thought leaders and innovators, Dr. Rick Bright and Dr. Mark Smolinski. Rick Bright is currently on the Biden transition team COVID task force, and Mark is the president of Ending Pandemics. Certainly, COVID has been a catalyst. Sputnik set off the space age. In some ways, COVID can catalyze a new health age. Maybe for both of you, starting with Rick, what would you be in your vision? Let's say we have 2020 hindsight from 2020. We're going to jump forward to 2030. What might be possible, and what might be your sort of imagined future state for preventing pandemics, responding to them, and maybe with your lens on health and innovation, where we could be if we all kind of work together?
Well, that is something that I think that we are closer than most people might think if we just implement and integrate some of the tools we've already developed and innovation we've already developed over the last couple of decades, actually. But in 2020 or 2030, actually, to be able to implement what we're learning in digital healthcare, be able to implement what we're learning on wearable technologies, be able to implement the rapid detection of disease and home-based diagnostic tests that we're developing today, I can see a future, maybe not even 10 years away, where individuals have wearables that can notify them when they're exposed to something. And we can have very rapid diagnostic systems or evaluation systems that can tell us it's something novel, something that's emerging, and that can tie into a global conversation about rapid integration of new vaccines or new therapeutics that need to be developed. And then we can also implement all the new technologies that we have for rapid production of vaccines and drugs and other diagnostics or other tools. And then my biggest wish, the biggest gap I think we're seeing still is having all those tools and then administering them and getting them to the patient. There's such a gap still. It is more than the last mile between a factory or a loading dock and an individual's arm or mouth or wherever we need to reach to administer that life-saving medicine, and not just in the United States, but around the world. So if we can close that gap with innovation to make sure that the things that we develop that can save your life are affordable, available, and accessible on demand so people can get those when they need them, I think we'll have a huge impact on saving lives whenever the next pathogen emerges from nature.
Yeah, it's really is this super convergence, as you mentioned. A lot of these technologies are here. The future's already here, just not evenly distributed, and it's an opportunity to connect the dots, put them together, and especially at the policy and leadership level, to make those rails bring it to the last mile to that arm. And as you mentioned on our longer jam, maybe the sequence is done. 10 minutes later, you have the sequence, and the 3D printer in your home makes you a patch with the right messenger RNA to protect you, or maybe before anyone even jumps on the plane and spreads it around the world. Mark, what's maybe your 2020 vision?
I don't think it should take us 10 years to get the vision that we want, which is putting the public directly into public health. The opportunity exists now, the technology exists now, and I hope within the next 5 years, when everybody wakes up in the morning, in addition to having your cup of coffee and brushing your teeth, you do your quick health check-in, because telling us that you're healthy is just as important is knowing whether you have any symptoms of illness. And I really see us very quickly having that ability on a map to see where symptoms are arising in any particular part of the globe within communities, to help us say, hey, there's something not right going on here. But doing that in an active way, we have a lot of efforts looking at big data, wearables, passive surveillance, if you will, that can add to the picture. But letting people directly be involved in something then gives you an opportunity to say, hey, here's what you can do. Have you got vaccinated? Give direct actions is really the future of public health, and one that we can realize in a very short future. So by 2030, we fully expect that we can end pandemics per se, because we should be able to find outbreaks locally and take action so that a threat anywhere no longer has to become a threat everywhere.
Spot on. I mean, even to the point now, it starts to the individual, but even our wearables today. Stanford recently published a report that your Fitbit or your smart watch can determine whether you have the flu or even asymptomatic coronavirus. And as we build sort of that Waze or Google Maps where we all become data donors, we can create that connection to the human and the individual and the last mile in the community, locally and then globally.